Reading with your kids.
Hola, ni hao, konnichiwa, assalamu alaikum, shalom, mahaba, ciao, bonjour, namaste, jumbo. Bienvenidos. Hey, my name is Jed. Welcome to Reading with Your Kids. We are coming to you from the beautiful neighborhood of Reedville, located in the southwest corner of Boston, Massachusetts. We are absolutely honored and so delighted that you're joining us in our mission to help all families grow closer through reading. We do that by sharing fun, thoughtful, and thought-provoking conversations with fascinating people who just happen to be writing books for kids of all ages. You can join us in our mission by telling all of your family and friends about the show and letting them know that they can hear us on the WREB AM/FM 24/7 radio network. And they can find us on the iHeartRadio app, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Good Pods, Amazon Music, CastBox, Player FM. Wherever you find your favorite shows, you can find Reading with Your Kids. We have three amazing guests on this episode of the show, starting with Scott Magoon. He's returning to celebrate his brand new picture book, There's No Place Like Gnomes. Later in the show, we help DT Scarola celebrate his Terry and Danny series, and Lisa Caprelli is returning to Reading with Your Kids to celebrate her brand new book. It's called The Flying Taco. My friends, this is going to be a great interview. We tried to do this yesterday, but the conversation was so hot, it melted our guest's phone. Literally, it's crazy. Joining us to celebrate his new picture book, There's No Place Like Gnomes. Please welcome back to the show, Scott Magoon. Scott, hey, how are you?
Hey, Jed, I'm very well. How are you? Great to be back.
I'm delighted to have you back. No one's been back so quickly, I have to say.
My pleasure. I'm honored.
You were yesterday. You were talking to me between sessions of a live event that you were doing. How did the live event go for you?
It went well. As it went well, and as I was talking about with you yesterday, you never really know. You kind of have to just go in with an open mind, read the room, kind of react to what the students and teachers are sort of saying to you and giving to you and presenting to you. I mean, I have my material that I have prepared for every talk, but there has to be some wiggle room and some flexibility based on what the questions are, the energy in the room, the dynamic in the room. But yesterday it went well, and they usually do, Jed. I got to be honest. They tend to go really well because kids are just so eager to. They're happy to see me. The teachers are happy to see me. Because it's a break in their days, a change in their routine. I'm happy to be there because it recharges my batteries to meet with readers of my books. Mm-hmm. And it's just a good energy overall. So it's usually, by and large, a really great time when I get together with students, teachers, and librarians.
Yeah. Yesterday, you and I were talking about that, reading the room and knowing, how to shift and move. I'm wearing my Clowns Without Borders T-shirt today, and you just reminded me when I was down touring El Salvador a couple of years ago. I was working with two amazing talents with me, and we're doing this one skit all throughout El Salvador. And I would read the room, and sometimes I do it one way, and sometimes I do it the other way, and it drove one of my troop mates absolutely bonkers. And she would say to me, I don't mind you changing up, but just I need to know how to, what is it that you're seeing that makes you change? And I'm like, I don't know. It's just a feeling.
You've been doing it for many years, yes? I mean, this is something, yeah. So I think that I ask because I think that is a huge part of it. A lot of that sort of that capability of being able to, analyze and assess and read the room, as they say, comes with lots of practice. It's not something, I don't think, that is natural. And of course, there are some who can do that right out of the gate, but I think a great deal of that comes with years and years of practice like you had. What a cool experience you had with your partners performing.
It was absolutely wonderful. El Salvador is is a beautiful country. They've come out of a long, dark time that they experienced for years and years. It's incredibly safe at the moment in most parts of the country. It's gorgeous. And
Yeah, I'd love to get down there.
every time here, you and I both live in Massachusetts, and everywhere you look, there's a Dunkin' Donuts. And, but
My
down in
goodness.
Salvador, everywhere you look, there's a volcano.
Wow. Very volcanic down there.
Yeah, yeah. I think I'm going to guess 6, but I think it's closer. It's in the teens as to how many, and many of them are still active, although thankfully they haven't erupted for quite a while.
Right. Interesting. Yeah. I guess I didn't I knew Ecuador had lots of volcanic activity. I didn't realize that El Salvador was quite as active as it is.
Yeah, yeah. I had the pleasure in Costa Rica of hiking up to the top of a volcano, an active volcano, which was it. I was excited, but when we got into it and we're hiking up and we have to wear a helmet because it might happen. And then there's all these, every few hundred yards, there's this bunker that, you run into if the siren goes off because the rocks are flying.
Right.
You get to the top and you can smell the sulfur coming out of the lava. And it's like, wow, this is cool, but it's also a little bit terrifying.
Yeah. A unique experience too. I mean, where else are you going to sort of get that sort of pyroclastic flow raining down and the smell of sulfur in the air? It's just a unique point on our planet that you just don't get anywhere else. That's amazing. That's so cool.
It really was. And what else is cool is being able to talk to somebody like you. You like that segue?
I did, yeah.
Being able to talk to somebody who's created so many fantastic books, both your own that you've written and illustrated, like There's No Place Like Gnomes,
Right.
and other illustrating for other authors. Tell us about There's No Place Like Gnome.
Oh my goodness. Well, it's my first illustrated picture book for a couple of years, I think, since Linus came out back in 2019. I have had 2 graphic novels in the interim since then, but this is really a return to form for me for the for picture books, I should say. Mm-hmm. So kind of my speed dating pitch for the book has been when a small garden gnome's cozy backyard shed becomes the last hidden refuge for displaced animals. He must overcome his doubts and his bird bias to rebuild a safe place for everyone. It's kind of a warm, witty, I hope, tale of resilience, inclusion, and regrowing what we've lost.
Yeah, yeah. It's a beautiful. I'm imagining this beautiful kind of relationship between the gnomes and, as I understand it, there's foxes living underneath the shed that he kind of greets and welcomes into his backyard hotel.
Yeah. Yeah, in fact, it's funny you picked up on that because those are the very foxes that inspired the whole story to begin with. At least the genesis of this story was we have a backyard shed, and under which lived, I would say, 3, maybe 4 kits, baby foxes, for a brief time a couple springs ago. And not far from that same shed, we have a garden gnome, and it hit me. It's like, man, it's like we have like an animal hotel back there. Year over year, we had, woodchucks would be back there, raccoons, squirrels, chipmunks, and this year it was foxes. And of course, when I saw the gnome, I thought of him as the hotelier of our backyard shed. So, you know what they say, Jed, shed happens. And I was inspired by the shed and the gnome standing next to it. And that's kind of how this story came about initially. And then it sort of took on this other life of community building, weaving together a community and coming together in a time of crisis. So that part kind of came after the Fox inspiration. But you never know where stories are going to go, where your creative mind kind of wanders as you write. And that's where it led me, was this sort of, let's reconnect, let's reweave the community threads that have come untangled over the years, I think is something that I wanted to address in this story. We can do great things when we come together, both the biggest of us and the smallest of us. And case in point with Gnome, being the smallest of us, if you will, shows that to be true in this story. So I hope that comes across to readers. I think it will. I think it's pretty clear when you read the book what we're going for here, what I'm going for here.
Yeah. One of the things, as you were speaking, I'm thinking, what a cool thing, if there's no place like Gnome at the end of the reading of the book, or at the end of the 15th reading of the book, a family would be inspired to go out and to get to know their neighbors a little bit better.
Gosh, I would love that. I mean, yeah, and that can be a large gesture. It could be having them over for a meal. It could be a simple wave. When they saw them, I would love to wave to my neighbors. I try to catch my neighbor's eye in the friendliest way possible, just to sort of acknowledge them. But so often, unfortunately, it's just, and understandably, people don't connect with just a wave or a simple how do you do? But I mean, of course, I completely understand why they don't, given the way the world is. But gosh, it would be nice just to have a nice hello more often in neighborhoods, I think. So, yeah, if the book somehow inspires any kind of connection with neighbors, my job is done. I would love that. I think that anything we can do to reconnect with others is sorely needed and a welcome thing these days.
Yeah. My beautiful wife and I typically take walks in the evening, and anytime I see somebody, I just wave, and my wife will say,
Jed.
"Who's that?" And I go, "A neighbor."
I love it, Jed. I wish you were in my neighborhood. I'd say hi to you.
All right. Yeah, we go out and get donkeys together.
Okay. I love it. We do live fairly close by, so maybe someday that would be nice.
That sounds great.
Yeah.
We were talking earlier about being able to read a room, and based on our experience, being able to change up and give the people in the room what they want, what's going to make them happy. Right. You don't have that benefit when you're in your studio coming up with ideas and illustrations.
Right.
How does that work for you?
Well, you're right. I mean, it's a very solitary thing, I think, being an author and an illustrator, just by the nature of what we do, pounding letters into a keyboard and putting lines down on a screen or on paper or on canvas. So there is a built-in component to being alone, by and large, for most of our workday. So it is a challenge. It's a real thing for sure. And not every author gets to go out or illustrator gets to go out like I do to schools and meet with their readers firsthand. Sometimes I'm able to bounce ideas off of students and teachers to see what they think ahead of my going ahead and writing, or just after I'm writing, or while I'm writing. So that's huge. Not every author gets to enjoy that or do that. So sometimes, and I've done this too in the past, we can join writers groups, authors groups, illustration groups. That's a great way to kind of get out and connect with our fellow artists, creators, and bounce ideas off. In terms of inspiration, because I think that's what you're asking is about, where we get our inspiration. Oh gosh, everywhere and nowhere. I mean, as artists, we need to keep our sort of satellite dishes up at all times, our sort of creative receptors. It's part of being an artist. It's a way of life. I hate to sound too woo-woo and sort of out there about it, or too self-aggrandizing, but it's true. You just have to always kind of be on and receiving the signals that you're getting from everywhere, from the news, from your family, from the weather, from food, from anything that you can kind of take in, museums, books, other books that you've read. We always kind of have to have that little antenna up to receive. And we don't know, I don't know how it's going to come out, if it will come out, or in what fashion it will come out. It may come out and I might not even realize it until the book is done. And I'm like, oh, that's what this book is about. It's about connecting with community. It's not just about the cute little, 3 or 4 foxes under the shed and how they get back out into the woods. It's more about community building. And that community signal was received loud and clear by me over the past few years, as I'm sensing, everyone kind of in their silos on their phones, closed off from one another. It's just something we're all kind of sensing it, I think, one way or another. And I just felt like, I'm so glad that this book kind of is ultimately about let's reconnect as a community, as a human race.
Yeah, yeah. You know, I love that you are talking about having your antenna up to receive ideas. I read a wonderful book, Big Magic, I think is the name of the book, and I believe it was by Elizabeth Glass. And basically, she says that ideas don't come from us; they come to us.
100% agree.
Yeah, and if we don't pick up on it, then it'll go to somebody else, and they'll do it.
Oh, 100%. Again, it sounds a little cosmic, but maybe I'm cosmic. You know, I love that idea too. If it doesn't come out through us, maybe it will be transmitted to another, and it will come out that way. There are just stories, and there are meanings, and there are expressions that find a way of expressing themselves one way or another through one artist or another, for sure. Yeah, no, that's a good point.
I love the fact that I get, and it really is a trip. I get to have great conversations with people that I've become friends with, people that I just meet, and we have these 20, 30-minute conversations. I bet there are 20-year-olds living today who haven't had a 30-minute conversation with anybody in their life, and that's really sad.
I know. Yeah, I think you're right. And that reminds me of a great old adage, you know, you can be young, and it's great to be young and all the energy and youth that comes with being young, but you don't have old friends, you know, when you're young. And I love that. I love that saying. That's one of the benefits of being older, is that you can have old friends. But getting back to your question, yeah, it's what we need. We need people talking to each other. I think we could all benefit from long conversations where it's a true conversation between two people, and not here's what I did today, and here look how great my life is, and you know, like we see so much on social media. Like I am completely guilty of posting, you know, fairly regularly on social media, so I'm part of that too. But I love a good conversation, and gosh, I wish everybody could appreciate it. It's a lost art. I'm working on it myself, trying to be a better listener every day, and because it just brings people closer together, and that's really what I think we could really benefit from. Yeah, especially young people. You know, they have such sycophantic agreeing sources everywhere they turn. They live in and I do too, live in a bubble of news, of social media, and now with AI being complete echo chambers, echoing how great they are, you know, how great they are, and their beliefs back at them. We need the sort of dialogue between two people, especially two people who disagree or don't exactly see eye to eye. I think that's something we sorely need.
Wow. Yeah. Imagine that. Two people who disagree on something having a civil conversation. It's impossible. It never happened in the history of the world.
Oh my gosh. Remember those days? I remember getting in arguments but still liking the person afterwards.
Yeah, absolutely. And I remember growing up in the city and having a fist fight with someone, and then 2 minutes later going out and having ice cream together.
Really? Oh my goodness. Wow. Those are the days.
Those are the days.
Yeah.
You know, you're talking about communication and having long conversations. There was a night, my niece, who is in college, she was having a tough time, and she texted me at midnight, and I answered her, and then she sent me another text, and I answered her, and then the next text was like really long, and I'm like, this is really stupid. Just give me a call so we can have a conversation, and we did, and we had a very long conversation. But, it's needed. And what a great way to talk about that through a book like There's No Place Like Gnome, you know, encouraging our kids to have those conversations.
I hope so. I think that, you know, it's not a book specifically about, you know, conversating and talking with each other, but it's certainly about community and rebuilding, you know, with community. I tell it via the animals of the story. They all kind of come together in the end and help Gnome kind of through a very difficult patch in the story. I think, you know, in times of defeat, people turn to each other, and I think that is really what this book is ultimately about. Like when in times when the chips are down, despite everything being so politicized and polarized, we do tend to still come together one way or another in numbers that matter and in ways that positively change and care for the world. And I've seen some research, not to get too sciencey here, but that research does show that strong communities not only solve problems faster, but also improve well-being, resilience, and public health. And I think the book reminds us that when we work together, we can build places where, for a community, where everybody belongs.
Yeah. I love that. Belonging to a community. That's
absolutely, yeah.
That's really, really powerful. Yesterday, I think is what melted down your phone. You talking to me about your style. Of art, artistry,
right.
And it was really fascinating. And talk to us a little bit. The people who weren't listening yesterday.
Yes, right. It was our dress rehearsal, Jed.
Yes.
Right. Yeah, no, thanks for asking. I'm flipping through it now, which is something I didn't have the benefit of yesterday, and it's an art that I've been kind of slowly building towards this. Most recently with Kiara Columbi's Rocket books that came out this year and last year, and it's something that I'm working more towards, and that's being very cognizant of the positive and negative space in artwork. So by positive, I mean the colors of the character. Negative space, I mean like maybe a background or the white space. And I'm very much more aware of the interplay between those two things. And I think the benefit of that is the art looks more integrated with itself, more connected to itself. It can look more symmetrical. I really like working this way. I think you'll see that in this book. There are no hard lines. There's no real line work in this book per se. That's something that I've been working towards as well. So no outer lines to color inside. It's all just pure shape and color. Very organic looking. I think that serves the story very well with the animals in the forest and the woodland setting. The birds in this book are very wispy and feathery and light, very appealing, which stands in harsh contrast to how Gnome initially dismisses all birds from his hotel because they're just too messy. And there's an illustration here. I don't know if, I'm sure you can't see it, but of the birds pooping on the roof of the hotel. It's just a nice sort of clean, open look to the book, and something that's a little new for me. I've usually tried to integrate a lot of detail, a lot of color, but this is more open, more room for air, if you will, in the artwork.
Yeah, I would love to have kind of go back to when my daughter and I would sit and read together, and we'd have great conversations.
Yeah.
We talk about the illustrations, but we wouldn't compare the illustrations in one book to another. And I think that would just be fun to help our kids just become more aware of all the different ways we can tell stories.
Oh, for sure. And there are so many hooks onto which you could hang that hat, so to speak. I mean, you could just focus on the line work from one book to another. How is this line work compared to and contrast with the line work in this book? Is it wide? Is it thin? Is it jagged? Is it lost and found line? Is it a consistent line? I mean, or you could focus on the color palettes and how they make you feel. How do they not make you feel? I mean, stuff like that. There's just such a rich conversations waiting to happen that for two things off the top of my head, the benefits are: one, you are exploring all of the ways art can be different and solvable, and two, you would start to get at how that art serves the story. If it's a jagged line in a story about an anxious elephant, that tracks. You've got a very shaky line that sort of suggests that the elephant is nervous. If it's a very staid and elegant line, maybe it's a story about a very stately queen, and it's sort of that tracks. So you're kind of going below the surface of a story when you start to explore what the art is telling you, sometimes very obviously and sometimes not so obvious. And just yet another reason that picture books are my favorite medium of all time to express myself.
You mean doing a 32 spread for a picture book is more fun than drawing 1,500 for a graphic novel?
Oh man, you see through me. Oh, I don't know. I mean, I loved the graphic novels too, but that was for. I mean, it's for a different reason, I think. I really loved the graphic novel for the chance to explore a character's arc and really kind of get into the nitty-gritty of, the character starts off broken and it sets off on a journey, and on the journey, it ultimately heals that character of that fatal flaw at the end. And that's something that, you can explore that a little bit with picture books, or a lot of it with picture books, but you can't go as deep, I don't think, as you can with longer format. But with picture books, in contrast, it's so distilled, it's so concentrate, that and so brief that, I don't know, I there's just something about that I find so challenging, and I don't think I'll ever tire of it. Graphic novels are exhausting. Picture books I find a little more uplifting and I don't want to say lighter, but I don't know. It's hard to describe. But I love both formats. But picture books are what's at for me still, for sure.
Awesome. Well, we should tell everybody. Oh, before, what are you working on next? Are you going to do another book with Kiara and come back on and celebrate?
Oh my gosh! Well, stay tuned. Hopefully, we'll see. I know that she's writing some, and I would love that. I love working with her and the whole team at RWYK, which is the same group that published There's No Place Like Gnomes. Right. But after that, oh my goodness, I'm working on a Halloween book with Christy Ottaviano at Little Brown called Bats on the Bus, and that's sort of a Wheels on the Bus kind of a Halloween take on Wheels on the Bus. Does that make sense? And it's super adorable, and it's by Allison Jackson. She's been an author for many years, and it's just a lot of fun. I think it's got all the characters from Halloween that you love. The vampire, the ghost, the zombies, the mummies. It was a blast. That's just wrapping up. And then I'm working on a new book with Caroline Perry for Simon & Schuster called Nighty Night. And that is in sketches right now. And that should be out, not next year, but probably the year after that. Awesome. And that's super, super fun to work on as well.
That's great. Yeah. We should tell everybody where they can go to find out more about There's No Place Like Gnomes and find out more about you.
Oh my gosh, thanks. Yeah, you can find me at my website, which is scottmagoon.com. And I've got links there to everything you'd ever want to ever know, and probably more, including all of my social links and links to get a copy of the book at your local bookseller and other major retailers. Always got to recommend and give a shout out to the independent bookstores, though, as your go-to, and libraries, also a great source for finding my books out there. But most everything you can find right on my website at scottmagoon.com.
We've had a great time speaking to the author and illustrator of There's No Place Like Gnomes. Our guest has been Scott Magoon. Scott, I'm going to encourage everybody right now to, after they finish listening to this episode, go out and wave at their neighbors.
Oh, Jed, I'd love that. I think that's it. We've accomplished what we wanted to accomplish with our book. Thank you.
Thanks, buddy.
You're welcome. Thank you, sir.
Are you looking for a creative way to bond with your kids? Let me tell you all about Drawing with Your Kids, the ultimate destination for artistic adventures. Join us as we dive into the wonderful world of children's books with renowned illustrators guiding you step by step. From beloved characters to whimsical scenes, unleash your imagination and create cherished memories together. Whether you're a seasoned artist or just picking up a pencil, there's something for everyone at Drawing with Your Kids. Please visit our website, readingwithyourkids.com, and click on the Drawing with Your Kids link at the top of the page and let the creativity flow. Drawing with Your Kids, where every stroke brings stories to life. Join us right now from the beautiful Garden State of New Jersey. Our guest is here today to celebrate his Terry and Danny picture book series. Please welcome to the show, DT Scarola. DT, how are you?
How you doing? Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
You're very, very welcome. DT and I got together down at the IABX, I hope I got the initials right, the IABX Book Literacy Fair down in New Jersey, and I had a really enjoyable time at that event.
Yes, so did I. It was good. That event was my first one, and I enjoyed it. And I brought my kids with me so they could see it, and they had fun. They liked watching it.
Yeah, that was the thing. You know, I think a lot of people are, when they hear a book fair or literacy fair, they're thinking, they're going to get me in there and it's all just going to be about buying stuff. And it's like the Scholastic Book Fair and just buy this. And most of the literacy fairs that I've attended are not like that. There certainly are opportunities to buy books, but it's more of an opportunity to meet the author, ask some questions. And at the IABX fair, one of the things I was really impressed with is how many public servers came to shake hands and meet people in the community, how many people were there letting people know what kind of services were available to them. So it was really, I thought, a really well-run event.
Yes, I thought it was very well run. They did a good job.
Yeah. So tell us about Terry and Danny. Who are these young people?
Well, Terry and Danny are based on me and a friend of mine at work. This big 6 foot tall guy, Terry. And I always tell him, I've known him for about 25 years. And I always say to him, I said, I wonder what we would have been like as kids. I said, I think you and I would have been friends because we get along so well together. Mm-hmm. And he goes, yeah, we would have. And then I go back to the days when my son was just born and I was coaching T-ball. Uh-huh. And it was a multiracial town. It was a lot of African Americans, a lot of Spanish. And he had this one friend on the team named Jamal. And every time they saw each other, they would hug each other. Mm-hmm. And they would hang out, and they'd have play dates. And I thought then, I'm like, I said, if these kids get it. They don't see anything except themselves, and they have fun together. I said, racism would stop at the kid level if you can teach them, mm-hmm. and that's what we need to do. So as time goes on, you think you want to write a book about it, but then you have life. My daughter gets born. And then finally I decided to write it one day when I was in the hospital. And I at that time you start to come with God because you think something's going to happen. Mm-hmm. And I said, if I get out of here, I'm going to write a book because mm-hmm. my cousin just wrote her children's books. Her name is Bella James Wolf, and she's on my website. And I said, you know what, I'm going to do that too. And I wrote the first book, my black friend, my white friend, because I just wanted to get it out there, and show that these kids are the same. It doesn't matter where they come from, mm-hmm. what color their skin are, what religion. They love to do the same things: play baseball, play video games, go swimming, ride go-karts, And the book was well received. So I said, all right, well, let me write a second one, And I said, let me teach them the alphabet, mm-hmm. Because I figured kids today, they're not learning the basics anymore, So I want to go back to the ABCs and the 1, 2, 3s. So I found a good way to do the ABCs with I Spy. That's a game me and my son used to play when we were kids. So mm-hmm. I wrote I Spy alphabet game. That went very well. And then I said, all right, what else can I do? Then I said, all right, let me do 1, 2, 3. Terry and Danny teach 1, 2, 3. So I did that. And that went over well too. So now I'm doing a new one about American history. So it's called Terry and Danny Teach American History. This one's going to be an activity book where they can draw, they can color, and then they get the answers when they do the puzzles. So that's what I'm working on now. Yeah.
Super. It seems like, becoming a children's author was a bit of a surprise. It wasn't something that you had thought of. Well, you thought of it, but it doesn't sound like it's something that you dreamed of since you were a little kid. How does it feel now that you are out there and you have 3 or 4 books out into the world?
Well, I'll tell you, after the first book was so well received, it made me feel good. Mm-hmm. And then my kids loved it. And then what really, really made me hit home is when I gave a book to a girl at work. And then she came up to me and she goes, I gave my grandson your book, and he read it, and he wants to read it every night now. And I asked him, well, why? He said, because this looks like my friend Jeremy, and he points to the African American kid. So it helped me. It shows that my book connects with that kid's that level, you know. So that made me feel good, you know. And then when we were at that event, I had a mother come up to me, and she read my book, my first book, to her child right there in front of me, you know. So that was good, and he liked it. So they bought it and they took it home. So that made me feel good.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah.
We talk a lot here about representation and the fact that it's such a powerful thing for a kid to be able to see themselves portrayed positively in the pages of a book. It sounds like Terry and Danny are representing kids who don't necessarily see color. The kids are just out there making friends with whoever they fall in friendship with.
Yeah, that's the whole goal of the book. Yes, is to show that you don't see color. And in every book, I put a quote. So I try to do a new quote in every book about the book. So I'm trying to think of a new one for the history book. So I'll come up with it eventually. It's kind of hard.
Yeah, I bet. What's been, other than finding a quote for the American history book, what's been the biggest challenge that you face as an author?
Coming up with new ideas. I also write other books. I have young adult books too. I came out with a young adult book called Jesus Take My Wheels. It's about an African American kid who's a basketball star, and he's getting ready to go to college, UCLA. And then he gets shot and he's crippled. So now he has to find a way to change his whole life being in a wheelchair. You know, it's a real inspirational story. It's gotten a lot of good reviews. I won 2 awards already for it. It's on Amazon. So yeah, I mean, coming up with new stories is hard, you know, especially for children, because you have to change between adults and children. So with children, I have to go that route and say, okay, what would my child want to learn? You know, what would he read? You know, what would they like? You know, so I try to go back to when I raised my son, and we would be in the car and I'd be asking questions, you know, like, hi, Marcello, how many stripes are on the flag? And then he'll tell me, and I'll say, all right, what do they mean? And then he'll tell me. So I thought, well, you know what, that would be a good book, you know. So I try to use my life to create these books, you know, so that way they'll learn, you know, and teach.
Yeah. It must have been incredibly gratifying to have your coworker come back and say, yeah, my kid read this book and now and wants to read it every night.
Yes, that's what made me feel good. And she can't wait till I get the new book out. You know, she wants to read it. So I said, yeah, I can't wait to get it done too. I've been trying to push it, you know, so it's going to get there. It'll be about maybe another couple of months. Yeah.
I mean, is it difficult for you to go from writing picture books to young adult novels? Is it or an easy switch?
You know, it's not. It's an easy switch. I've been trying to write for years. You know, in my younger days, I was an actor for 10 years, and then I found out that I'm a better writer than I am an actor. You know, so I don't know if you remember back in the day in Manhattan, they had a place called Theater Row, where they had off Broadway, and I went there one day and I started posting. They wanted you to submit a one-act play. I never wrote before, so I said, let me write a one-act play. So I wrote a one-act play, and they loved it. And I actually, for one night, I had my own play on Broadway, off Broadway. So that's when I got into writing. That's when I really enjoy it. I found that I have a lot of stories to tell, you know, and putting it on paper is what I like to do now.
Yeah. We've had a number of authors and actors turned authors come on the show. And one of the things that they have mentioned is that, you know, when they're acting, they're taking somebody else's story and acting it out. But as an author, they're telling their own stories. Is that something that you find?
Yeah. When I did that play, it was called From Pop Warner to Prose. And the whole play took place in an attic in a house after a funeral when a son's father died. And he's in the attic going through the pictures, and the mother comes up, and they go through the whole history of the dad and how hard he treated the son, you know, and after the son hurt his knee playing football. And it was a real emotional roller coaster of a play. And it was good seeing them act out my lines. I liked it, you know. and I saw where the laughter was supposed to be, and everybody laughed, and then where the heartache was supposed to be, and everybody cried. That makes me feel good, and I enjoy that.
Yeah. Cool. What's next for you? I know that the activity book is coming, but are you looking to create another children's picture book series?
Yeah, well, I'm sticking with Terry and Danny for now. I'm going to try to keep them going with the thing. But I did make one book that I'm trying, it's done. I'm just trying to get it put in the right format. It's called Dolphina. It's about a dolphin, a princess, who lives in this cove surrounded by rocks. And she goes out to go help her friend, who's a fisherman, to gather fish. And then there's a shark king who wants to take over the territory. So it's called Dolphina, the mouth of the ocean. And I'm done with it. I'm just trying to get someone to color it because I'm not good at drawing. So I have an illustrator working on it now. So that's my book outside of the Terry and Danny series.
Great. Is it hard for you to hand your story over to an illustrator and say, okay, here, you tell your part of the story, or do you like to keep your fingers involved in that too?
I lucked out. The illustrator I found who does the illustration for Terry and Danny really nailed it on the first one. And I said, oh, that's great. Let's keep it going. And then I actually going to her again for the new one. And she's pretty good. She knows what she's doing. Yeah.
Well, let's give her a shout out.
Yeah. Her name is Santa Anna, but she's in Pakistan.
Okay. All right. There's talented people all over the world.
Yes. She's very good. She draws amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Well, let's tell everybody where they can go to find out more about the Terry and Danny series and find out more about you.
Well, if you go to dtscarola.com, you'll see all my books on there. And then you'll also see the books that I suggest, that I read. I try to get other authors to send me their books so I can promote them on my website. And then you'll see, where stuff I've done. You'll see my awards. You'll see video reviews of my books up there. You'll also see writings of reviews of my books. So dtscarola.com is my website. I'm also on Instagram at dtscarola, and same with TikTok and Facebook. Yes.
Great.
Yeah.
Excellent. We've had a great time speaking to the author of the Terry and Danny series. It's a great picture book series from our guest, D.T. Scarola. Hey, D.T., thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Hey there, families! Are you looking for an exciting way to bond and learn together? Look no further than our STEM is Family Fun video series. Join us as we explore the fascinating world of STEM through hands-on activities right in your own home. Our series features lessons from experts at renowned institutions like the San Diego Children's Discovery Museum, the National Children's Museum in Washington, D.C., and Children's Museum Houston. From making homemade rainbow bridges to creating an oboe out of a straw, there's something for everyone in the family to enjoy. So grab your lab coats and get ready for an adventure. Go to readingwithyourkids.com and click on the STEM is Family Fun link at the top of the page and let the learning and laughter begin. STEM is Family Fun, where learning and bonding go hand in hand. Join us right now from the great state of California. Our guest is returning to Reading with Your Kids to celebrate her brand new book. It's called The Flying Taco, starring Unicorn Jazz. Please welcome back to the show, Lisa Caprelli. Hey, Lisa, how are you?
Good. Thanks for having me, Jed.
Delighted to have you back on. Lisa spent a weekend with me at the Chicago Toy and Game Fair about 6 years ago. And we had a great time there. And at the time, she had a giant stuffed Unicorn Jazz. It was so big and it just got so much attention at the fair.
It was bigger than this one.
Yes. So tell me, how has Unicorn Jazz grown?
Well, yeah. Well, first off by saying, it was a big fluke and a fun fluke that we turned the plushie into the big Unicorn Jazz when we went to the Chicago Fair. She has a music note for a tail, which I trademarked because I wanted her to be the most unique unicorn. And some backstory for people that don't know, this was the first character I created in my first Unicorn Jazz book. And in the first book, Unicorn Jazz is a unicorn that feels like she doesn't belong. how often do we feel that in life? I've never met someone that hasn't felt that. And again, I want children to feel like they belong and they have a voice. So Unicorn Jazz moves to new land in search of new friends. She feels like she doesn't belong in the first story. She meets a bird named Wolf the Crow. Yes, the name that the dog should have, and he addresses that in the book. And he discovers her magical gift, like you all have a gift. And it's that she sings. So I did that on purpose because I wanted my books to come with the multimedia experience of songs. I know when my kids were little, I loved singing to them beyond the book. I'd make up, the writer in me would make up songs. I grew up with Sesame Street like many of us did. Mm-hmm. And I bet if I sat one-on-one with you, you could remember some of your greatest Sesame Street messages. And that's the power of storytelling, multimedia with the music. And, you know, I turned my characters into puppets during the pandemic, to keep on going with this amazing brand that I wanted to build. When I created Unicorn Jazz, my first story, it only took me 2 months. To date, I'm grateful I have over 24 books in English, Spanish, coloring books, all that. And so kids often ask me, you know, when I go to schools, you know, the writing process, how long does it take? It varies. And on track, I tend to have like 1 book per year. I've created this little baby board book. Again, it all comes with songs, music videos, so that the children can learn in different sensory ways like we all learn. This book is really near and dear to my heart, and I'm so happy that you saw a post of mine about it. So this book took a whopping 4 years to make, and you wouldn't think of that at first by seeing it, because it seems pretty simple. The illustrations are just amazing, and my illustrator, Davey Villalobos, who happens to be my cousin, you know, when you work on something that you love, as you know, you get better and better at it. So our books got better. We developed more of a format and a brand, and along the way. But when I first had the idea for the Flying Taco, like I said, 4 years ago, I had met with some like Hollywood producer because, like many of us authors who are passionate about making our books and stories into bigger ideas than ourselves, I dream and pray of this being like a cartoon series, just a bigger brand that I could do all of these great things. That's why you and I met, Jed, at Chicago Fair. Like, you're always branding and going and networking, and that's necessary to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So tell us about the story we're going to read with our kids when we pick up the Flying Taco.
So, again, when I met with the Hollywood producer, he gave me this advice to why aren't my like Hispanic roots in some of my stories? And I was like, okay. And he said to make something so fun and silly and crazy, and that's the Flying Taco. So when I first made this book, I tend to name my characters after a pet, a loved one, or something like that. Well, my mom's name is Hope, and in Spanish, Hope means esperanza. So kids laugh when I say my Flying Taco is my mom, and my mom loved it from the beginning, of course, because, you know, like many moms, my mom is a top fan of ours. So what I also wanted the story, how it's changed, is that we wanted to put my hometown, El Paso, Texas, in the beginning of the pages, and people from El Paso would recognize that's famous for the star. And, you know, there's a military base there, Fort Bliss. So that's like subtle things that our books have, like nuggets that go beyond the books, that the story tells. There's actually a restaurant there called Et Quiero Comer that my sister got us connected with. And then my sister and her husband, Susanna and Rich Frank, they own a Desert Oak restaurant in El Paso, Texas. And that's a whole story in itself because they were a food truck turned restaurant. So those are just behind the scenes. The story, I created this, Jed, because I know when I was little and born in El Paso, Texas, I grew up with very humble roots. My mom raised a family of 5 children on her own. I never thought I would see an ocean. I actually wrote a book about the ocean. I never thought, I mean, when you're a child and you're living in not a lot in poverty per se, you just can't imagine your life outside of your hometown. And as I've traveled from school to school, there's not, I work with kids from, all over the country, no matter, the socioeconomic level. I tend to love to make an impact on children that were like me, that never thought maybe they have a chance in this world. Do they have a voice? So I wanted to make the book for kids to realize that, your life can change and learn, have fun, grow, do teamwork, the subtle cues in the book. And the Hope the Flying Taco tells them she can take them around the world because it's a teacher project she wants them to do. So their first hop is in India. And then they go to Japan, and there's fun facts on the page about that to get kids excited about learning too. And there's Australia, and there's France, and then we have Hobby the Hippo, a fun character that's new. Like here he says, I came for the adventure, I stayed for the bread. And there's Africa. So at the end of making this book, it's been a dream of mine as a child to go to Africa, and I'll be going there someday. I have friends down in South Africa. So Davy rushed to draw this page on Africa, and back to California where I get to live now. And I get to live near the ocean. And then they go back to Texas, back to home, telling their grandmother, Abuelita, there's a little Spanglish in here, that they brought back some foods and journeys. And they have a fiesta, and who doesn't like food? And then, there's Hobby the Hippo at the end saying, Houston, we have a problem. I'm hungry again. And that's because we're going to keep going with the flying taco, which I also have trademarked because sadly, my illustrator, Davey, who is my illustrator of all his books, he passed away last December. And it was sudden, and it was tragic, of course, for us. And we always talked about our books being a legacy. I'm sure you can relate to that. And now I get to carry that voice for him as well.
I'm incredibly sorry to hear about Davey. Very sorry for your loss. How does that figure into moving forward with new books? Will it be difficult for you to turn the illustrator reins over to somebody else?
My son, Matthew Vasquez, who's my co-author now on books and has helped me with this journey alongside the way, believed in the passion of leaving a multi-generational legacy that many of us get to do in our line of work. And I said to him, when he passed away, we don't like this part of life, that we do die, unfortunately. And I kind of said, this is what we're doing for the bigger purpose. I've had many people that offer an illustrator for me already. We are going to be putting a call out for someone that could do Davy style, and I feel confident that we'll find that. We're going to make the Flying Taco 2. We're going to actually make this into an anthology sub-series of itself because of all the incredible feedback and the love that went into this book. And I love traveling. Remember, I was that girl that never thought I left my hometown? Well, I love traveling, and now I get to bring the Flying Taco in fun messages with songs and getting kids excited about reading and helping each other and all these positive lessons that, as you know, books can do. And again, it's like a dream come true to be able to change my life, the once shy girl that now gets to be a speaker and authentically remind children that I'm not a natural born speaker. And I'm sure there's better speakers than me, like my son, who will one day be doing this as well. But we all can learn and grow.
Yeah, absolutely. That's such an important lesson. And what a great, I think, the Flying Taco gives families an opportunity to sit down and have conversations about growing, about what is it that you'd like to that you can't do right now, and where do you want to go that you haven't been to yet?
Yes, and as you know, we live in a world that's multicultural almost everywhere we go, right? It's different than how you and I grew up in school. And I've talked to teachers or librarians saying, God, I wish I had that book because I was a kid. One librarian said, I grew up with the Greek background, so I was the kid that had grape leaves and stuff, and my friends thought that was weird. So I have beyond the book activities where the classroom can do bring in foods from either its tradition or you can bring in something new. And so it's a multicultural, sensory experience. And because kids love the art that Davey did, his hand-drawn art. I could get kids being part of the artwork with contests and things like that. So, I've been able to talk about Davey passing without crying now. It was really hard because right before he passed, 2 days before this book went live, he passed away, and it's a book about grief and loss. about a caterpillar becoming a butterfly. And this story came to me in a dream, and Davey was so proud of this. And it's just so ironic that he became a butterfly in our own story.
And the name of that book is Butterfly Whispers.
Butterfly Whispers.
Wow. Well, I really appreciate you coming on. I know it was difficult to talk with the loss on everybody. We should tell everyone where they can go to find out more about the Flying Taco and all of the books that you've created since we first met.
Yes, please go to unicornjazz.com. I'm Lisa Caprelli, easy to find in all social media. And I'm just grateful to connect and go wherever God puts me, and to have the voice to be able to teach others the positive message of kindness, joy, love, all of those fruits of the Spirit, and to, as we grow up, get to pass it on and help others.
Amen. We've had a really great time speaking to the author of The Flying Taco. It's a great new picture book from our friend, Lisa Caprelli. Hey, Lisa, thanks for being back on Reading with Your Kids.
Thank you.
We hope you've enjoyed this episode of Reading with Your Kids and will join us for the next exciting episode of the show. Please be sure to connect with us on social media, facebook.com/readingwithyourkids, @readingwithyourkids on Instagram, and @JedleyMagic on X. I want to thank the folks who made today's show so wonderful, starting with our guest, Scott Magoon. Please be sure to check out There's No Place Like Gnomes. DT Scarola. Please be sure to check out his Terry and Danny series. And, of course, want to thank our friend Lisa Caprelli. Please be sure to check out The Flying Taco. I want to thank my team, Fatima Khan, Chris Doherty. I want to thank my beautiful wife for all the support she gives me. Most of all, we all want to thank you. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. And as always, thank you so very much for taking the time to make the world a better place. And you do that every time you read with your kids. I'll be looking for you in the next episode of Reading with Your Kids.